My personal view is we'll get a whiff of deflation, and the central banks around the world will panic, and they'll panic until food prices basically cause this whole charade to finally come to an end. Food is a different animal. They're not prepared worldwide, and people are going to get really, they'll hoard. You want to talk about hoarding at a personal level? If the United States is overproducing and China wants it, and people start seeing their food prices go up while we have record, that's a political problem. And vice versa. If the Chinese overproduce and America's suffering, the Chinese will not give us a nickel of grain unless they get some pretty big extractions out of us.
And with PayPal making it possible to buy, sell, and hold cryptocurrency on its platform, support is starting with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and possibly more in the future. I was able to profit myself because I learned to trade through Trade Genius Academy on the crypto side. I took part in various courses, personal coaching, chat rooms, Signals trading tool. That's where I look for price signals in cryptocurrency from Bob Kudla at TradeGeniusAcademy.com, who also offers other signature trading tools for stocks, exchange-traded funds, binary options, and commodities. All you need is an internet connection to get started. Interact with Trade Genius community, fellow traders, and certified Trade Genius trades, alongside professionals who generate revenue for themselves in the stock market every single day. Live buy and sell alerts text to your phone, built for both new and experienced traders. So what are you waiting for? Sign up and see what the hype is all about at TradeGeniusAcademy.com. And use the promo code Thanksgiving for 40% off all non-bundled items. Click on the link in the description box below, and now on with the interview. Good afternoon, everyone. Today with me, Bob Kudla. We always have a great conversation looking around the corner. And with everybody focused into today, let's just skip that. You already can go find your own feeds. There's a billion things for you to look at. We're just going to add to the distraction, the noise there. We want to look out into 2021. Because myself and Bob both think that 2020, you thought it was weird, strange, and unusual. You haven't seen anything yet. What's coming in 2021 is the real precursor of these changes that are going to hammer home we're not in Kansas anymore. Thanks for joining me. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Let's look at 2021.
So I'm leaning deflationary, but that doesn't mean everything is going to fall in price. You and I talked about this before. I coined a theme. I called it Inflationary Depression, where actually things that you don't want are going to collapse in price, like assets that you own. The things that you need are going to stay elevated in price, like food. And I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to get the worst of all worlds. So that's the area where that's how we're positioned now. So right now we're short the NASDAQ and we're long the metals and miners, and we're going to be getting longer food, but not necessarily they have like soybean and corn trade on the stock market. You want to get beyond that because it's influenced by the futures markets. You want to go to those secondary people, buy food manufacturers, and buy supermarkets. Once we start seeing this start flowing through the supply chain.
Now, two quick questions. You talked about the abatement of inflation, and again, how long would that last? That's question one. And question two, with the reset of the LIBOR coming up here on the 25th of January, which was given the go-ahead by the Department of Justice here November 23rd, and there needed to be a 90-day lag period or a wait period before those first trades are executed. So was it 700 trillion in derivatives needs to come unwound back to the base contracts between two individuals. They need to agree on the new SOFR rates, and then they need to push it back into the market. So everything needs to come out. And if anybody disagrees with that, with the LIBOR, say, hey, okay, maybe you lost money and you disagree, and say, well, we got to execute out of the contracts. We can come back then through SOFR. So I don't know how many people are going to start, causing a little bit of chaos in here because they don't agree with the rates because they lost money. So now it's an exit strategy for them to get out, and no, we got to settle now. We got to settle, versus letting it go. And if we both agree, okay, then we don't need to unsettle it. But you see how there's going to be a lot of chaos here with this. So what's your feelings with the LIBOR reset? And then what are you thinking about the abatement time of some of this inflation that's coming in?
Yeah, well, I'll answer the second question first. So the closer you get to that date, the more volatility you're going to get. So because it'll create an illiquid market, so it allows for the mischief to happen. We see it in gold all the time. So whenever things get illiquid, you start seeing some really big swings. So that'll play itself out pretty fast, though. The abatement of inflation, though, it all depends. So if the United States wags this dog, Dave, so it all depends on how much stimulus they push in. So we set the bar this year for how much new balance sheet needs to go into the economy to keep things status quo. If they don't get that, the whole world will tip into deflation, because what people don't realize is that there's a lot of dollar denominated debt out there. And so the dollar starts getting stronger. Okay. You get a turnaround in the dollar. Everybody's expecting the dollar to crash. Because people don't understand there is only the dollar and all the other currencies. So, Bitcoin is not mature enough to be a currency that can handle the entire world chain. Okay, number one. And number two, gold and silver aren't designed to be currencies. All three of those are really designed to be stores of value at this point. So the dollar is the play. The yuan, nobody's going to trust the yuan, okay, no matter what they say. And so the dollar is it. So if things start getting, a little bit weird, people are going to go to the dollar, and the dollar is going to rise, and that's going to cause deflation. Now, what we look for us is that we want to make sure the metals and miners are falling less than the market, because that's the play. It's going to be a relative play. Because I get this all the time. Bob, the dollar went up, miners went down. How did you make money? Well, because I made money because I shorted other things that were falling faster. And that's how you have to you can't play this transactionally. You have to play it as a symphony, and you have to kind of understand, the moving parts and their relationships to each other. My personal view is we'll get a whiff of deflation, and the central banks around the world will panic, and they'll panic until food prices basically cause this whole charade to finally come to an end. Food is a different animal. They're not prepared worldwide, and people are going to get really they'll hoard. You want to talk about hoarding at a personal level? If the United States is overproducing and China wants it, and people start seeing their food prices go up while we have record, that's a political problem. And vice versa. If the Chinese overproduce and America's suffering, the Chinese will not give us a nickel of grain unless they get some pretty big extractions out of us. So that's what it is. If you want to trade with us, we trade these. So you can go to tradelikeagenius.com. We put some bundles together for Thanksgiving, but the specials that we're giving you need to take advantage of by Saturday. And so 65% off, you get pre-bundled. And we even do some day trading too. So we created a 7th bundle for those that want our toolkit. It's an algorithm that we developed. It's awesome. It's something that we've seen. It's multi-time frame. It's institutional. So we're ahead of the retail crowd with this. And so you can actually get a hold of that toolkit too. So that's what we're doing. And just go to tradelikeagenius.com Saturday and take advantage of it. I think you'll like what we do. I know we got some new people this last weekend. They were saying what we charge for the service is nothing compared to what they had to pay to join other groups or other training. We keep it really affordable. And you trade crypto with us, Dave, so you know how good the signals are.
Yeah, and I'll say I also use this and still do. I have my own unique method of doing it. Once I get the signal of what it's going to happen, I like to trade off and keep it in my wallet and go to something like Changely and then swap it back and forth when I get another buy signal. But I'm only going for the big low-hanging fruit, like once every 2 days, once every 3 days, instead of trying to get in and out hourly or every 6 hours, 12 hours. So I really try to get a signal top and then look for that signal bottom and then buy back in. But I'm using the wallet to switch over, so I never need to go on an exchange. Now I need to do it manually. So, each his own.
So that's how I see it. So that's what you have to watch. Just watch the dollar. And the dollar is going to affect Bitcoin too. You saw it today. You and I are talking on Monday. Not sure when this is going to go out, but Bitcoin had a 60, 70% move. And this weekend, started getting jiggy, and you saw it today because it sold off with the gold and silver because it is sympathetic to that. Now, the good news is it ran first farther and faster, number one. And number two, it's going to recover, and just because it's scarcer. And I think the people are pretty scared. Look at Turkey. Turkey may not be able to feed their people. They don't have enough energy, and their currency is collapsing. India is in the same boat to a lesser extent. So that's the areas that you're going to have to watch out for. Short the Turkish economy. India is going to be in big trouble, especially if Trump doesn't get in. India made a big bet on Trump, and if Biden gets in, the Democrats are making lists to put us all in jail. So they'll probably have India on the blacklist too, and so India is going to be looking for friends, and they're going to be hurting too. So these are the moving parts that very deflationary, and then we'll get a big pop somewhere in 2021. We'll all make a ton of money on gold and silver and crypto. But the bad news is we're going to have to take all of that and probably pay for our food.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are sitting out there going, special drawing rights from the IMF.
No way.
Not quite. I don't even know if there's a trillion out there in special drawing rights, and it's a basket anyway. So, every time we do one of these talks, Bob, I always have people, SDR. I really don't think that's a viable option either.
It's not. And look, I'm a gold and silver bug. You're a crypto bug. They have their place. Okay, I think it's more wishful thinking that the sovereigns around the world are just going to let a nationless currency that they can't control be the arbiter of their ability to steal from people. They won't go down without a fight. Now, why would it go up in that scenario? Because they all want to get rich too, and they all have to run their intelligence operations, outside the public eye. So Bitcoin, when I say Bitcoin, I'm talking like Kleenex, is going to have a place. Gold and silver are going to have a place. And then other than that, then we're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah, you got to have the black budget. You can't put black budget on the blockchain because somebody's going to track the money and see where it came from. And, people talk about, well, they're going to take us to this dystopian, everything's going to be tracked and all the money's going to, I don't know about that because, again, you just hit it on the head there. There has to be a nefarious black budget that's untraceable over here. And I don't know how, you could still operate in two worlds. That's 100% crypt, 100% track and trace, 100% every transaction's known, even if I give 2 cents to the paper boy as a tip or something, right? That's the envision that people have going over there. But they would cut off their own hands of, stealing from the out of the dish. Give me the money. Let me take the checks. Give me how it is.
It's crazy. Well, that's why you can't look out too far ahead. Things are really going to swing around. But we do know, you and I have been, the thing that's so cool about, you and I talked about this, I think in 2015 when we first got on, I found you because I forget what you did. I was just searching around. I said, this global warming thing is a hoax. And I started reading you about trudging your way through northern Vietnam and finding out the coffee prices why was coffee not doing well in the highlands and how you got into all of that. And I'm like, I totally see it. And things have been progressing this way. And for those who are just new to listening to Dave, is that last year through the next 2 years is going to be to 2024 is going to be a pretty tough window. Then we may get a little bit of a reprieve and then we get into a really tough window. And it's no accident the governments talk about their Agenda 2030 also, because they also know exactly when the solar minimum is going to be biting hard, and they want to be able to say we're in front of this thing. But there's room to profit. A lot of people are like throw their hands up in the air. I'm like, look, you can make money. They made money in the Great Depression.
Oh yeah, lots. I think there were more millionaires made during the Great Depression than previously up to that time, because if there was that niche, how many new niches were there? There were so many services that were needed. People just thought completely differently on how to offer value during that time. And you hear story after story after story after story of people going from pennies to millionaires during the Great Depression. And it was more common than you can possibly imagine it was.
Yeah, look, Germany, industrial production in Germany never collapsed, and they lost the war. The human spirit will always endeavor, and there's people that want to get rich, so there'll always be a medium of exchange. So I can't worry about the end of the world scenarios. You worry more about the the 2 standard deviation kind of events that may show up, and those are the ones that will happen 2 or 3 times in a year, and then you take advantage of those, and you just keep putting yourself in better position. Look what you've done. You put yourself in a position now to be in the front end of food production. Well, if you live in an urban or suburban environment, I have a yard out here that I just tripled my vegetable garden. So, and then if things get even worse, I have enough room to put chickens, so I have eggs. So there's always an option for people. And, if the cities are intolerable, they gave us a great opportunity now to get out of the cities. So your boss just basically said, we're going to be working from home. So these cities are going to be empty. You can live out, 90 miles from New York City, and you can get a house that can cost you $1,500 a month to live with a third of an acre. Don't woe is me yourself. If sacrifices come and there's opportunities.
Yeah, and you were talking about the standard deviations there for yourself. Like my standard deviations here are volcanic eruptions and aerosols in the air. Because with these grand solar minimums coming into this pinch point magnetically with the 4 gas giants, the really big planets that are out in the outer solar system here, they're going to line up into a square that hasn't been seen since 79 AD, and that will occur in October of 2024. Now, the reason I even bring that up is the expected effects are massive volcanic eruptions. Now, my standard deviation right now, I'm looking for a VEI 5 or a VEI 6 to tick off. That's going to affect global food production if it happens on the equator. But then that standard deviation outside that would be a VEI 7 or 8, and that would be catastrophic. And you better run as fast as you can to go get 6 mil poly so you can create your own greenhouses, because you could still grow in a greenhouse. Even though there's volcanic ash everywhere, the problem was that volcanic ash is coming onto your food. If you're able to protect the food, you're going to get barely enough light in there. You'll still be able, you're going to have to search out, low light varieties that grow in sort of like that borderline fall, winter where they get less light, and you'll be growing those in summer perhaps. But that's my standard deviation way outside there. So like a VEI 7 or 8. And you have your own standard deviation that we can work with. The only reason I talk about that is the precedent through history. When these planets line up like this and we get into this depths of, you talked about that first wave, we get something tick off that's pretty big. Usually it's only one. The VEI 7, that would, really put a dent into global agriculture for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. But if you're able to mitigate that and get ready, and like you said, living out away from the offices, like everybody should be preparing greenhouses right now for growing your own food throughout the winter. And also for protection in case of this little outlier 2 standard deviations up of a VEI 7 or 8, you're already prepared and ready. And this is something that I would be expecting, and governments are expecting it too, rolling into 2030. The ultimate agenda is at Agenda 2050, but we're just looking at these, points in time of checking off, okay, we reached this 2020, 2021. Why is the next benchmark at 2030? Like, what do they expect? Why was there really no Agenda 2025? I mean, how's that just dropped out of there? It goes 2020 or 2021, whatever you prefer to call it, then 30, then 50. Like, what's missing here? Should there not be a 2025 if you're going to take a benchmark on progress for a global agenda pushing whatever it is you believe it is? I mean, there's so many thoughts out there. What's happening in the 2025 range? Is there going to be not enough food grown? Is there going to be such a complete shredding of the threads of chaos and society itself and civilization that they don't have a plan for that time? Because it seems that food production moving into that past that time, 25, 26, 27, 28, tumultuous at best, but if you're prepared, it's going to be the biggest opportunity in human history. And that would be on the trading side too, or on the food growing side, or the preparations, or these things that you could offer people.
Yeah, and it's funny, if you want to like, what's your bug out plan? I'm too old to do too much of a bug out. I'll shelter in place.
Bug in.
Yeah, bug in. But if you look at Morocco, okay, Morocco might be the linchpin of the food production and trade between Europe and Africa, because the Sahel is going to become extremely productive ag land. And so, if you're a Westerner and Morocco scares you, although it's a fairly stable country, but it's a little bit poor yet. is that you can live in Spain or Portugal, and you could be on the front end of this movement. The reason why I like those areas is because they're semi-arid. They have big coastlines, so you can always do solar distillation of water, and which is cheap enough to even use for ag purposes, especially if you know how to recycle it. And the weather's nice. And if you really just want to be lazy and just live somewhere beautiful, then you just go to Madeira Island and enjoy Madeira, because it's the Hawaii of Europe.
Yeah, because Palmyra also has the world's largest assemblance of greenhouses and vegetable production down there. Anyway, already proof of concept, and all they would have to do is copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. That Almira area, I encourage you to take a look at it on the satellite map, or even just delve into it on, over the last decades they put this up, and it's the world's largest area of continuous greenhouses that produces the most amount of vegetable produce that delivers across Europe and everywhere, other places too during winter. It's an incredible sight to see.
It's a great opportunity. And you can, if you use French intensive agriculture, 1,500 square feet, you can feed a family of 4. And that's including protein from certain, obviously, crops, but also you can feed the chickens in that too, and you'll get eggs. People will get well acquainted with Victory Gardens again. So I think Southern California, believe it or not, we talked about this before, Northern Mexico, Northwest Mexico, Southwest United States, Southern California, when it gets cold enough, it's going to be a stable growing area. So we'll go from a drought kind of La Nina to a whole different paradigm where it's going to be fairly benign here. So, and again, they can produce all the water they need through Baja and through the Pacific Ocean. So, when things start to get real, there'll be opportunities. And San Diego already did it. They converted their entire county over to distilled water, through the Israeli technology, and it costs a penny to more a gallon than buying it from the Owens Valley and the Colorado River. So, so we know it's there available to us, and we know how to build it. We know how to put it into the infrastructure. So all is not lost. Now, what you're talking about is, depending where one of these volcanoes pops, if something pops in the Northwest U.S. or in California, then it'll be a whole different situation. But it looks like most of the action's on the rim right now, not in the range and basin area of the United States. So
one last quick thought. Have you seen the Time magazine article with the front cover that says the Great Reset? I encourage everybody out there, look up the visual graphic of Time magazine, the Great Reset issue. You'll see that Africa's right there. And what did they do, Bob? They pulled the Sahel out. There's a farmer next to it. There's a scientist that's choosing the correct crops. There's the bankers that's right there. And then you have all the construction workers. So for me, that's game on, that they're going to put the canals in, they're going to put the piping in, they're going to choose the correct species, and they're going to bring it all in, and ag zone. I can't believe they pulled out that exact region in there. So something's twisting if that's the message they're putting, the Great Reset. Why would it be focused on a piece of desert? Oh, wait, the Nubian aquifer, all the other aquifers across North Africa, West African monsoon shifting more above ground rainfall, and Bob, the last point, North American monsoon is shifting. That's why the changes in the desert Southwest, and we're referring to Northwest Mexico down in California and parts of Nevada, New Mexico. That whole North American monsoon is on its shift too.
The thing is, I think Time Magazine's been watching our show, so.
Reference my graphics, man. So Bob, thanks for your time. I know I got a lot out of it thinking about where your mind is moving to the future from now through into 2021. Hope everybody else got something out of it. Leave a link in the description box below of what you thought was the most important part of our talk. That's really interesting for me, so I can learn more about what you're thinking as well out there as the audience. So Bob, any last words? The floor is yours.
Yeah, well, tell us what else you want us to talk about, because there's plenty of opportunity. But anyway, thanks so much, Dave.
Thanks so much for your time. Bye for now.
Great, thank you.